Guruve Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tarabhaktaya Namo Namaha. I'm first of all offering millions and millions of Dandavat Pranams unto the lotus feet of my most beloved Gurudev, Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarasara Shishimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And I'm offering the same again millions and millions of times unto the lotus feet of our most beloved Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarasara Shishimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, and all the Vaishnava and Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, my Dandavat Pranams. So today is quite a relatively short day. Yesterday also we had a short day. We celebrated the divine appearance of our most beloved master, Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj, and we heard his glories extensively. Also we visited the temple of Radha Shyam Sundar and the VRAJA-MANDAL. But today we're simply going to go for a beautiful walk through the forests of Vrindavan. We're going to cross over Mother Jamuna, and we're going to walk for about 2, maybe 3 kilometers to a very beautiful little village just on the other side of the Jamuna, on the eastern bank. So I've described a number of times how the 5 principal forests on the eastern bank of Jamuna are principally the playground of Krishna and Balaram. And they're described, or it's described, that Baladev Prabhu is the Adhishtita Deva, or like the Ishtadev of those 5 forests, because they're mostly principally about cow grazing pastimes. Of course, there are so many pastimes with the gopis also, but prominent are the pastimes of Radha, of Ram and Krishna enjoying with their sakhas. So those 5 forests, we have Bhadravan, Bandiravan, Baelvana, then Mahavan, and then in the southeast is Lohavan. So these 5 forests. So today we're going to this central forest of Baelvana. And this is directly opposite the gateway of our Gopinath Bhavan, just straight across. So we're going down to the Jamuna with our 5 rupees in hand to pay for the boatman, and we'll cross over there, and then we'll walk 2 or 3 kilometers through some sand to begin with, and then it becomes bushes and small trees, and then we come into this most picturesque, beautiful, traditional little village, which is exactly as it was 5,000 years ago. The cows and the buffaloes are wandering around everywhere. You see the mothers are churning milk, making rotis. The children are running around, smiling, laughing, playing. So this whole atmosphere is very beautiful in Baelvana. There's no cars. It's practically off the road. People usually walk there. It's not so easy to get there by road, by car. So then we're going to wander through that little village, and we come to a very beautiful temple. Very clean, nice temple, has a large well in the center of it. And this is the temple honoring the pastime of Lakshmi Dev, performing her austerities to enter the Madhurya Ras, the sweet pastimes of Sri Vrindavan. We understand that no amount of austerity can ever break the gates into the most confidential pastime areas of Braj. It can only be accessible through the mercy of the gopis, and the mercy of the gopis comes through the mercy of the Vaishnavas, and it is by their mercy alone that anyone can ever at any time gain entrance into the confidential pastimes of Sri Vrindavan. So this pastime is so important because it brings out the speciality of the distinction between Aishwarya Bhav and the Madhurya Bhav. This is very pivotal for the devotees to appreciate deeply the distinction between Aishwarya and Madhurya. And then by this appreciation, then it heightens our appreciation of the sweetness of Vrindavan and the speciality of Vrindavan. And our respect and our affection towards Vrindavan increases. So this has all been described very beautifully in Srila Gurudev's Origins of Rath Yatra. So in the 7th chapter, this is entitled Hira Panchami. I want to begin to read as much as we have time for of this chapter, because this opens out this topic completely. Why did Lakshmi Dev even want to come into the forests of Vrindavan? Why did she want to leave the opulence of Vaikuntha with Lord Narayan as his consort? So these questions are all answered very beautifully by Srila Gurudev in this Origins of Rath Yatra, chapter 7. So I'm just going to start reading and we'll see how much time I have to complete this chapter. So the heading of this chapter is the difference between Vrindavan and Dwarka. Srila Gurudev practically gave his life to impress upon us this distinction. It's so vital to appreciate, because by appreciating, as I just said, then our appreciation for Braj becomes much more deep and significant. So that's the subheading, the difference between Vrindavan and Dwarka. So now it's going to talk about the Hira Panchami. The meaning of Hira Panchami is as follows. On the 5th day of the chariot festival, Lakshmi Devi becomes very worried and thinks, "Where has my husband gone? He told me I am going for a change of environment for some days, and I will return very soon. It has been 5 days now, and still he has not come back." Unable to tolerate this, she becomes very angry and gives orders to all her associates as though they had to fight with the enemy. "Take up your weapons." Then she becomes the commander-in-chief of her army and goes to attack her husband. This is the mood of Lakshmi Dev. During the Rath Yatra festival, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to taste the mellows of Hira Panchami. In early morning, he went to Sundarachal along with his associates and took darshan of Jagannath, Baladev and Subhadra in the Gundicha Mandir. Whenever he went to the Jagannath temple, he used to see Jagannath as Krishna, Brajendranandan, Shyam Sundar, with a peacock feather in his crown, a flute in his hands, with very beautiful lotus eyes, and with all the other attributes of Krishna, when he was with the gopis in Vrindavan. Mahaprabhu never saw Baladev, Subhadra, or Sudarshan Chakra, because Krishna never carries Sudarshan in Vrindavan. Mahaprabhu never prayed to Baladev or to Subhadra in the temple. He saw them both during the chariot festival, but otherwise he saw only Jagannath. This was all very wonderful. So Jagannath has gone to Sundarachal, which represents Vrindavan, from his temple in Nilachal, which represents Dwarka. And on the evening of the 5th day, Lakshmi arrived at Sundarachal with her associates. She was decorated with many precious ornaments made of gold and jewels, and she wore very beautiful and opulent garments. The previous day, Kashi Mishra, who was the guru of King Prataparudra, had advised the king, "Bring Lakshmi Devi very valuable gold and jewel ornaments and decorate her with them. Make such a beautiful festival for her that everyone will be struck with wonder. They should think that they have never seen anything like this before. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wants to taste all the mellows of this festival." Accordingly, Lakshmi was decorated with gold and jeweled ornaments, opulent garments, and other paraphernalia. At the Svingadvara gate, the lion gate, in front of the Jagannath temple, Kashi Mishra gave very beautiful seats to Mahaprabhu and his associates, such as Srivas Pandit, Sri Swarup Damodar, and Rai Ramananda. Soon after they were seated, Lakshmi arrived with all her associates and opulence, as if she were coming to attack Jagannath. First, she attacked Jagannath's associates, who were actually Mahaprabhu's associates, like Sikhi Mahita, Vakreshwara Pandit, and so on. and then she tied them up and bound them like prisoners. Her associates then punished them by striking them with whips made of soft cloth, and then she accused them, "Oh, you should admit your guilt and pay something. You have taken my husband. Where are you keeping him? Bring him here right now." Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was extremely happy to see this pastime, and tasting its mellows, he said, "I have heard that where Satyabhama used to exhibit man, she would remove all her golden ornaments, and she would enter a dark private room, put on dirty garments, scratch the ground with her nails, and weep continually. But here I see another kind of man, in Lakshmi. She is like a commander-in-chief going to attack with many soldiers. I have never seen anything like this, nor have I ever heard of such a thing." Swarup Damodar then explained that there are many kinds of man, and that this man of Dwarka is very different from that of the gopis of Vrindavan. Then there's a very beautiful quote from the Madhya Lila, which translates as, "Although Lord Jagannath enjoys his pastimes in Dwarka Dham and naturally manifests sublime liberality there, still once a year he becomes unlimitedly eager to see Vrindavan." Why did Krishna leave Vrindavan? Ultimately, he did so to please and pacify the gopis. It is said that he leaves Vrindavan and comes to Mathura and Dwarka because he cannot forget the devotees there or anywhere else. He must support and nourish them. The next question would be then, after leaving, why did he not return, at least for a visit? One answer is that there is no fort in Vrindavan. If Krishna had returned to Vrindavan and Jarasandha had come to know that he was really the son of Nanda and Yashoda, rather than that of Vasudeva and Devaki, Jarasandha would have attacked Vrindavan and would leave it in ruins. Nanda Baba was a cowherd, a gopa, not a warrior, and there were no soldiers in Vrindavan. Jarasandha would therefore have destroyed all of Vrindavan and then imprisoned Yashoda and Nanda Baba, as Kamsa had imprisoned Vasudeva and Devaki. So Gurudev describes that these are like external reasons. The real reason is that Krishna couldn't return because the hearts of the gopis could not have tolerated him again leaving for a second time. They could just practically hold it together while Krishna left once, but if he returned even briefly for a short space of time, then the gopis' hearts would not have been able to tolerate it. So now Gurudev comes to this topic. By the constitutional nature of Aishwarya and Madhurya, they cannot exist together. If you become an actual Madhyam Adhikar and hear all these topics in good association, you will realize something about the meaning of Aishwarya Bhav and of the Madhurya Bhav in Vrindavan. Then you can become one-pointed in your devotion to Brajendrananda. Vrindavan cannot go to Dwarka, and Dwarka can never go to Vrindavan. They are opposites, and the attempt to combine them is called rasabas, contradiction of mellows. So this is what we're seeing today in Baelvana, that the Aishwarya of Lakshmi Dev is attempting to go to the Madhurya of Vrindavan. So this is a complete impossibility. You should know, Gurudev continues, you should know what is Aishwarya and what is the constitutional nature of Madhurya Ras. In Dwarka, there is always opulence, and everyone there knows that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sometimes he is four-handed and can do anything. He can bring a dead person back to life, and he himself has no death and no birth. In Vrindavan, on the other hand, there is always Madhurya Bhav. Krishna has taken birth from the womb of Mother Yashoda, and he is quite helpless. As a baby, he cannot turn over without his mother's help. Sometimes he becomes angry, and he is always hungry, and when hungry, he steals butter from here and there. And Krishna may tell lies. He will say, "Mother, when have I stolen butter? I never steal butter. You send me cowherding with my friends very early in the morning. I run here and there with the cows all day long, and when I return home from cow herding in the evening, I'm very tired and take my meal, and then I go to sleep. So when have I stolen butter? I have never done it." Then, when he begins to weep, Mother Yashoda says, "Certainly you have stolen the butter." Continuing to weep, Krishna replies, "Perhaps I am not your son. That is why you are accusing me of stealing butter. That is why. Maybe I should go away and live somewhere else." Yasodamai then begins to weep, and her heart melts, and she takes Krishna on her lap and says, "I know you have never stolen butter. You have never done so." Krishna then tells her, "I have done it. Mother, I have done it." Then both of them weep. In this mood of Madhurya, Mother Yashoda ties Krishna to a mortar. How would she be able to do this if she knew that Krishna was the Supreme Personality of Godhead? There is one point to note here in Vrindavan. Even if there is a manifestation of opulence, it does not disturb Madhurya Bhav. There may be opulence, but the pastimes of Krishna still remain Naravat, those like a human boy. His pastimes there do not go beyond the human level. For example, Putana came and lifted Krishna in her arms and said, my dear boy, my dear boy." Although she wanted to poison him, he closed his eyes as if he were afraid of her, and did nothing more than simply suck the milk from her breast. How could he help it if she died? He never showed any large or wondrous form. He was like a child, a boy of only 6 days old. But still, she was killed. Although killing Putana was an act of the utmost spiritual opulence, it still remains a human-like pastime. Also, Krishna lifted Govardhan and held him aloft for 7 days on his little finger, as an elephant would lift a lotus flower with its trunk. A man cannot do this, but Krishna did it, and he was smiling and sometimes playing his flute. He was in a dancing mood, in a threefold bending position. All the cowherd boys held up their sticks and touched Govardhan, saying, "Oh, don't fall, stay up there." And they were all thinking that they had lifted Govardhan. At the same time, Nanda Maharaj, who was very exalted devotee of Narayan, prayed, "O Narayan, please do not allow this mountain to fall down." And what can be said of the gopis? They are the very potency of Krishna himself. Radhika looked strongly at Govardhan with a piercing sidelong glance and told him, "If you drop down, you will be burnt to ashes. You should remain aloft within my vision." From everyone's point of view, Krishna was not doing anything. In this way, although lifting Govardhan was a very great opulence, Krishna did not assume a large or four-armed form. Whether there is opulence or no opulence, his pastimes are called Madhurya, if they are human-like. In Vrindavan, Krishna is the friend of all the gopas. He is the beloved of all the young gopis. He is the son of all the elder gopis. So this is the atmosphere of Vrindavan. Gurudev is describing as a backdrop to understanding this pastime, to understanding how it is that Lakshmi Dev is still performing austerities today to enter Vrindavan, and how she can never ultimately enter Vrindavan. The Vrindavan mood will never come to Dwarka. In Vrindavan, Krishna can carry his flute and wear a peacock feather, and he can manifest his beautiful threefold bending form as Manmata Manmata, the enchanter of Cupid. But he cannot do this in Dwarka, nor can he perform Rasa Leela there. What would all the queens think if he were to engage in rasa with the gopis on the shore of the ocean in Dwarka? Thus the gopis can never go to Dwarka, and Krishna also never goes there in his original and complete feature. He goes there in another form, and that form is his manifestation. He will be Vasudeva there. For Krishna himself cannot give up being Brajendranandan Shyam Sundar. He cannot give up Vrindavan, even for a moment. Vrindavanam parityaja padam ekam nagachati. Krishna never goes even a step outside Vrindavan. Similarly, Jagannath Dev comes to Vrindavan once a year. His queen, Vimala Devi, who is Lakshmi Devi, represents Satyabhama, Rukmini, and all the other queens of Dwarka. Jagannath lives in Dwarka for the entire year, but once a year he wants to go to Vrindavan, and he plays a trick in order to go there. He becomes sick, and he requests Lakshmi Devi to allow me to go to the forest to cure my sickness. I'll just go for a few days, and I'll just take Balaram and Subhadra with me. He's trying to pacify and allay the fears of Lakshmi Devi, and he's just trying to innocently go to the forest of Vrindavan. Gurudev continues, Lakshmi Devi is not qualified to enter Vrindavan. There are 8 prominent queens in Dwarka, headed by Satyabhama and Rukmini, and 16,000 others as well. These 8 are special, but none of them is qualified to go to Vrindavan. First, they will all have to take birth from the wombs of gopis, marry gopas, and then cheat their husbands and become Krishna's paramours, as all the other gopis are. They will have to give up their husbands and everything else. They will have to be able to serve Krishna in Vrindavan if they are under the guidance of the gopis. Otherwise, such service will not be possible. Lakshmi Devi could not enter Vrindavan even though she performed severe austerities in Baelvana. She wanted to cross the river Jamuna to see the Rasa Leela, but she could not. Yogamaya is greater than Lakshmi, and she can control everyone. When she saw Lakshmi's austerities, she approached her and said, "You are a chaste lady, a Brahmani, married to Lord Narayan. How can you give up your husband and marry somebody else, a Gopa?" Lakshmi replied, "I cannot do it. How is it possible?" Yogamaya said, "Can you make cow dung patties?" Lakshmi replied, "Oh, I cannot do that. I don't know how to." Yogamaya asked, "Can you milk cows?" Lakshmi replied, "I have never done it before." Then Yogamaya told her, "You cannot go to Vrindavan because you are not qualified. First, you would have to take birth from a gopi's womb, associate with the gopis, and try to follow them. You would have to marry a gopa like Durmukha, Durmada, Abhimanyu, or Govardhan Malla. Then, when you have given up that husband, you would be able to go to Krishna and make him your beloved. This is the only process." In one kalpa, it was Yogamaya who questioned Lakshmi Devi, and in another, it was Krishna himself. But both of them had to tell her the same conclusion: she was unfit for the ras. And then Gurudev quotes from Chaitanya Charitamrita that in the pastime of Vrindavan, the only assistants are the gopis, but for the gopis, no one can attract the mind of Krishna. So the gopis we discussed the other day have a mood. It's called Samartha Rati. Their Rati is capable of controlling Krishna by their love and affection for him. So this is all that Krishna is tasting in Vrindavan. If you want to serve Krishna fully, you must follow the process given by Srila Rupa Goswami and Raghunath Das Goswami. You should hear and learn all the topics discussed in Rup Shiksha, Sanatan Shiksha, especially in Ramananda Samvad. And still more of that, here in Rathayatra Prasanga, the topics of Rathayatra. Everything is very clear here. The essence of the teachings that Mahaprabhu gave to Rupa Goswami at Prayag, the essence of what Rupa Goswami wrote in Ujjvala Nilamani, the essence of everything is all here. Gurudev's talking about the Rathayatra Prasanga, this beautiful description of the Rathayatra festival. Particularly, we're discussing today this Hira Panchami in relationship to Lakshmi Devi, in relationship to her moods, that how can she possibly enter Vrindavan. So Gurudev goes on. He quotes again from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu now asked the question, since there is no fault in Krishna's pastime, why does the goddess of fortune become angry with him? Gurudev describes, what is the deep meaning behind this question? Why is Mahaprabhu asking it? Krishna is going with Baladev and Subhadra, but they do not know why he is going, and they do not know that he will play with the gopis here and there in the Nikunjas. Since no one knows, who has told Lakshmi that Krishna is going to play with the gopis? No one told her. Also, Krishna's elder brother Baladev is there with Krishna. Krishna cannot do anything wrong in the presence of his elder brother. Subhadra, his younger sister, is also there with him. In their presence he cannot meet the gopis. Why is Lakshmi angry? And Swarup Damodar again explains, it is the nature of a girl afflicted by love to become immediately angry upon finding any neglect on the part of her lover. So this is the reason for Lakshmi's anger. She felt neglected by by her lord Jagannath, and thus she attacks the guards at the Gundicha, ordering them immediately to bring her husband back. And now Gurudev quotes some very beautiful verses from Chaitanya Charitamrita explaining this pastime, opening it out more fully. I'm reading sporadically through this chapter, so I'd encourage the devotees today, if they want to enter deeply into this pastime, to read, or you can also hear, it's in audio form, this chapter 7 from the Origins of Rath Yatra, to understand Baelvana. Why are we visiting Baelvana today? So now Gurudev continues. While Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was tasting all this Katha, he said, I have never heard anything like this before, that Lakshmi has come with her whole party as a commander-in-chief, as if to attack. Lakshmi began to beat Krishna's chariot, and Srivas Pandit began clapping. He was very happy that the associates of Lakshmi were chastising the associates of Vrindavan, imprisoning them, beating them, taking a fine from them, taking their garlands and ornaments and punishing them. Srivas Thakur, of course, is Narad Muni, but he's also Madhumangal, which we see he has a change of consciousness at one point, listening, being influenced by Swarup Damodar. At this time, Srivas Thakur smiled and told Swarup Damodar, My dear sir, please hear, just see how opulent my goddess of fortune is. As far as Vrindavan's opulence is concerned, it consists of a few flowers and twigs, some minerals from the hills, a few peacock feathers, and the plant known as gunja. Srivas Pandit smiled and said, There are no golden crowns in Vrindavan. There are only flutes made of dry bamboo, and some peacock feathers, and Krishna only wears a pitamba and flower garlands. There is nothing of any value there. And then again a quote, Lakshmi wondered, why did Lord Jagannath give up so much opulence and go to Vrindavan? To make him a laughing-stock, the goddess of fortune made arrangements for such decoration. Gurudev responds, people in the mood of opulence may think like this. They are all on the side of Lakshmi Devi. Swarup Damodar, however, being Lalita in Krishna Lila, is in her mood, and therefore a pure Brijabasi. So Swarup Damodar replies, Then the maidservants of the goddess of fortune said to the servants of Jagannath, Why did your Lord Jagannath abandon the great opulence of the fortune of the goddess of fortune, and for the sake of a few leaves, fruits and flowers, go to the flower garden of Srimati Radharani? So Gurudev is describing how these material opulences captivate the hearts and minds of those less qualified, those who have taken guidance from the Rasik Vaishnava Acharyas can appreciate the remarkable nature of real Vrindavan. Gurudev describes that the natural opulence of Vrindavan is just like an ocean. The opulence of Dwarka and Vaikuntha are not even to be compared to a drop, in fact, of that ocean. One flower of Vrindavan can give millions of diamonds and other opulences, though Krishna's associates do not want that. They only want to make garlands for decoration. And their ankle bells are made of desire stones, chintamani, although they have no need for them. They only use them when they are dancing. Gurudev continues, before the advent of Mahaprabhu, no one knew all these high truths, but now everyone can know. Then there's a quote from Chaitanya Charitamrita. The Krishna known as Yadu Kumar is Vasudev Krishna. He is different from the Krishna who is the son of Nanda Maharaj. Yadu Kumar Krishna manifests his pastimes in the cities of Mathura and Dwarka, but Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj, never at any time leaves Vrindavan. Vrindavanam parityaja padam ekam nagachati. Krishna never goes even a step from Vrindavan. It is because of Radhika that Krishna never leaves Vrindavan. He stays there only for her, and both of them do not go anywhere else. Then who went to Kurukshetra? Radha will never go there. She is Samyogini Radha, who is Vrishabhanu Radha's manifestation, and not directly Radhika herself. Who went to Kurukshetra? Vrishabhanu Nandini Radha will always remain at Radhakund and Shyamakund in Vrindavan. If Radha and Krishna are always together in Vrindavan, why does Radhika feel so much separation from Krishna? And why does she always weep for him? Sometimes she becomes so absorbed in love and affection in separation from Krishna that even when she sees a tamal tree, she thinks, oh Krishna, oh now you are here." She quarrels with him, becomes angry with him, and sometimes she embraces that tamal tree as if it were him. How can there be a separation mood there in Vrindavan? There is no actual separation in Vrindavan, but there is some separation. In Vrindavan, there is the Rasa Leela and Prem Sarova as well, and Radha and Krishna feel great ecstasy in meeting there. Who experiences the separation mood in Nandagan? Who met with Uddhav? To whom did Uddhav offer his prayers? Lakshmi came with her associates, riding on a golden palanquin and profusely decorated with golden ornaments. She arrived at the Svingadvaha along with the musicians beating drums and dancing. Gurudev describes, why did Krishna not take Lakshmi Devi to Vrindavan? She could not go because she was not qualified. Even Satyabhama and Rukmini were not qualified to go to Vrindavan. That is why they never went. One may ask, what harm would there be if Radhika and all the gopis went to Dwarka? There would be so much harm. They would not be satisfied there. They would see Rukmini and Satyabhama and all Krishna's queens with him, and he would not be able to leave their company. Sometimes Krishna's sons would come and sit on his lap, and Srimati Radhika would not be able to do anything about it, so she will never go there. If Radhika does not go to Dwarka, how can Lakshmi go to Vrindavan? She cannot go. After she performed austerities in Baelvana for thousands and thousands of years, Krishna came and asked her, "Why are you doing this?" She replied, "I desire a benediction from you. I want to join the Ras Leela." Krishna then said, "That is absurd. You cannot." "Why not?" she asked. "I'll tell you why," Krishna replied. "After this birth, you will have to take birth in the womb of a gopi in Vrindavan, and then you will have to marry a gopa. After that, you will have to associate with the Nitya Siddha Gopis, and only then can you join the Rasa Leela, when you are sufficiently purified. Even a gopi who has come from the womb of a gopi is unqualified if she has any children by her husband. None of the gopis in the Rasa Leela have had any children, and they have nothing to do with their husbands. Krishna continued, so how can you go? You will have to give up your Brahmani body and your chastity to Narayan. You will have to cheat your Gopa husband and absorb yourself in Parikya Bhav. Then in the form of a gopi, you can join the Rasa Leela. Lakshmi objected, how can I give up my husband Narayan? I cannot give him up. I cannot give up my chastity. I cannot marry a gopi. Then Krishna said, then wait. You will obtain this boon from me when you are able to do all these things. Even now, Lakshmi is performing austerities, but she is still not qualified. You may want this gopi prem, but it is so very high. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very merciful, and he descended to the material world to give it. It is very precious, more so than anything. It is very difficult to attain, even for Narad, Lakshmi, Sankar, and other great personalities. So what to speak of lesser personalities? However, if someone has pure greed to serve Radha Krishna Yugal and to serve in the Rasa Leela, he is very fortunate. Lakshmi, who represents Satyabhama and the other queens, thought angrily, here in Dwarka, my husband is always smiling on a golden throne, and he has so many military commanders-in-chief, and so many beautiful queens, and each queen has sons and daughters. Why did Krishna go to Vrindavan? I have seen something like this in my boyhood. My mother would give me a slap if she was giving me something sweet, and if I wanted something else instead. So Lakshmi was very unhappy and angry if she got, and she tried to attack her husband to force him to come under her control. She wanted to defeat him and bring him back to Dwarka by quarreling and attacking him. Mahaprabhu smiled somewhat and said, O Srivas Pandit has the nature of Narad. He always glorifies Lakshmi and Narayan and Dwarkadish. Swarup Damodar is a pure Brijabasi, and that is why he glorifies the gopis. Srivas cannot do so. Almost everyone in this world and universe glorifies Lakshmi Devi. Very, very few and rare people glorify the gopis in Vrindavan. This is true even in India. There are some groups that put forward the view that Srimad Bhagavatam is not authentic evidence. They say that someone other than Vyasadeva compiled it. So it is bogus, and therefore the love and affection of the gopis is also bogus. There are many who reject all these topics, and only high-class devotees have a taste for them. Swarup Damodar then said, O Srivas, don't you remember that the trees in Vrindavan are Kalpavriksha, desire trees? They can give millions of tons of gold and everything else. Anyone can have whatever he desires from those trees, but the gopis have no personal desires. They simply decorate their hair with the flowers of the trees. The ankle bells of the gopis are made of chintamani, but the gopis never use them for fulfilling their desires. They only wear them to make sweet sounds while they dance with Krishna. The cows are Kamadhenu. What does that mean? They not only give milk, but they can give milk of our fulfillment of all desires. They can give anything a person wants, but the gopas and gopis don't want anything from them. They only want milk and butter. They don't know all these truths because they have not gone to Vrindavan. They don't even know the ABCs of Vrindavan. The flowers are more valuable than the Parijat flowers of the heavenly planets. They are always fragrant and they never become stale. They can give anything, but you don't remember this. This is Mahaprabhu speaking to Srivas. And then it's quoted in the Brahma Samhita, Shriya Kanta Kanta Parama Purusha. In the spiritual world, all the female lovers are goddesses of fortune, and the male lover is the Supreme Lord. After Srivas Thakur heard all this from Swarup Damodar, his mood changed. He entered the mood of Madhumangal, Krishna's intimate Sakha in Braj, and then he began to dance, remembering the glories of Braj. So these are touching on the essential topics of the distinction between Aishwarya and Madhurya. How possibly could Lakshmi Dev ever enter into this world of Madhurya Ras, coming from her conception of Aishwarya, her values, etc. Everything that she held precious and dear to her was not considered worth anything in Vrindavan. So this is the background to the place we have come today to appreciate how Lakshmi Dev is performing her austerities in this place of Baelvana. So today we are taking the dust from this place and praying to understand correctly the distinction between Vaikuntha, Dwarka, Mathura, and the Madhurya of Sri Vrindavan. This is absolutely essential for us to come into this sweet world of real Vrindavan. So by the mercy of our beloved Gurudev, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami, he's explained all these truths very, very clearly and very simply for us to understand this immense distinction. So today I'm encouraging you to look at this chapter 7 of the origin of Ratha Yatra, or listen to the audio if you don't have time to read, and appreciate the speciality of this forest of Baelvana where we have come. There's one very beautiful verse that Gurudev gives in the Parikrama book describing this forest. Tapasiddhi pradayaiva namo bilvavaneyacha janardana namastubhyam bilvashaya namostute. And this is saying, O Bilvavan, Bilvavan is the same as Baelvana, bestower of the perfection of austerities, I bow down to you, O Janardana, O Master of Bilvavan, obeisances unto you. So while we're performing our various austerities through this month of Kartik, we should be beseeching our beloved Gurudev and all our Rupanuga Guru Vargya to fulfill our innermost desire, which is ultimately to become a Palyadasi of Sri Radhika, at least to begin to have the understanding of what this means. What does it mean to become a Palyadasi of Srimati Radhika? How can I begin to affect that in this material life? So I'm taking the mercy of my beloved Gurudev and all the Vaishnavas and praying to the dust of Baelvana today to have my innermost desires fulfilled. Vavancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhabhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namaha. Baelvana ki jai. Vrindavan Parikrama 2018 Kartik ki jai. Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,